Christian Romero and Pedro Porro were given 2 extra days off by Igor Tudor. It was honoured by De Zerbi, and both players are due back on Monday to have their first training session under De Zerbi. Scott Minto has stated the new boss will never be lasting 5 years at Spurs. Tottenham midfielder Yves Bissouma is believed to be furious on how he has been treated under the last couple of managers at Tottenham. Reports are stating that Spurs, Newcastle, Brighton, Sunderland, Everton are monitoring a 19-year-old Blackburn Rovers defender. Inter Milan want to sign Tottenham's Italian goalkeeper Vicario this summer, according to reports in Italy. And Mikey has come out and said that the doctors told me to forget about football for now, as I had pains in my chest. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going for all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. So let's get straight into it, and let's start with a report from The Athletic. They are stating that Christian Romero and Pedro Porro were given 2 extra days off during this international break by Igor Tudor, reflecting the lengths of their respective journeys. Roberto De Zerbi has honoured that agreement, and both players will be back at Spurs on Bank Holiday Monday as the squad prepare for our next Premier League game on Sunday the 12th of April at the Stadium of Light when we face Sunderland. Football.London have stated that the Tottenham Hotspur players went home on Friday with rave reviews about Roberto De Zerbi's first day of training. One at the session told close friends and family that it was outstanding, and numerous players bringing glowing reports back about the level of work that Roberto De Zerbi put in. Now, Scott Minto, the former Premier League defender, now pundit on TalkSport, has been talking about Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi and his appointment. He has stated, I think he's a really good manager, but there is no way he's going to last 5 years at Spurs. No chance. I don't think that he is there for the long term, but it doesn't matter. It is all about just staying up this season. I'm fascinated to see how he kind of almost holds himself back from doing what he wants to do immediately. We've talked about the players lacking in confidence because talent-wise, they shouldn't be anywhere near where they are in the Premier League table, which of course is 17th, 1 point above the relegation zone. Scott Minto then goes on to say if he's able to do a sort of hybrid where, what he wants to do, I think it is a really good appointment. This one has to work though at Tottenham. Now, former Spurs midfielder Victor Wanyama has been talking about Roberto De Zerbi. He said, I think everyone should rally behind him. He is a fantastic young coach, and I think he will deliver at Tottenham. De Zerbi has shown that everywhere he has gone, he has improved the club. So why not Spurs? I think he will turn things around at the club. He will deliver. Wanyama said, if I was De Zerbi, I'd remind the players how good they are and tell them that they have made history at the club already, some of them by winning the Europa League last season. They need to make sure that they don't ruin what they have done before, to make sure that they take the club out of the relegation zone. And I know that they're capable of doing that because they are better than people think they are. Where they are right now, it doesn't define them. It doesn't define the club. Now, according to reports from Football Fancast and Give Me Sport, they are stating that Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Yves Bissouma is believed to be furious with how he has been treated under Ange Postecoglou and Thomas Frank, and he now is in talks to leave on a free transfer this coming summer. The reports state that Bissouma has struggled to nail down a starting place at Tottenham under multiple managers, and with his contract expiring in the summer, the club and the player have decisions to make. Tottenham midfielder Bissouma is apparently furious with how he has been treated at Tottenham, and now he is set to give up the final year option on his contract in order to leave Spurs. The The reports then go on to say that Bissouma is already believed to be in talks with Turkish side Fenerbahce ahead of a potential departure, and a summer exit is now looking likely for the Mali international. The 29-year-old made the move to Tottenham for a fee in the region of £35 million, but it's been a tricky few years for the midfielder. Bissouma has made just 5 starts in the Premier League this season, while he only started 16 times in the previous campaign. Now, a report from Team Talk published on Sunday. They are stating that Spurs, Newcastle, Brighton, Sunderland and Everton are all monitoring 19-year-old Blackburn Rovers defender Tom Atcheson, with RB Leipzig, Napoli, Atalanta and Borussia Dortmund also in the mix for his signature. Now, some more transfer news. Various reports in Italy on Sunday. They are stating that Inter Milan want Tottenham's Italian goalkeeper Vicario, 29, as their new number 1. They're interested in signing the Italy international this coming summer. Now, Spurs and Rangers have just jointly published a short documentary about Spurs star Mikey, currently on loan at Rangers for the 25-26 campaign. It is called Life on Loan. Do check it out on the official YouTube channels. Now, Mikey has opened up about his long-term unavailability during the 24-25 campaign under Ange Postecoglou. Now, Ange Postecoglou, whenever he was asked questions in press conferences about Mikey Moore's availability, he was always very low-key about it, saying that he didn't want to state why he was unavailable, and that was his business. Now, Mikey Moore, in this short documentary, he said, "I went for a driving lesson at the time that night, and all of a sudden I felt a bit of pain in my chest. The doctor called me, and he said, forget about football for now. It came back that I had a virus, and it was just that it was my heart, and it was giving me pains in my heart. I was lucky that I caught it early because I'm not sure what could have happened after that." Now for some Spurs women news. Now our women's under-19s will travel to Fulham in the semi-finals of the Women's Capital Cup. The tie will take place at the Fulham training ground, Hotspur Park, on Sunday the 19th of April. Kick-off will be 2 p.m. The two sides met in a pre-season friendly at Fulham's training ground at the beginning of the campaign, where our youngsters suffered a 3-1 defeat. We progressed to the last 4 of the competition after an impressive 5-2 win over London Bees in the quarter-final on Thursday evening, with Grace Bellwood netting a 13-minute hat-trick in the second half. Fulham have recently won the Women's FA National League Division 1 South East, reached the semi-final stage, having overcome Chelsea Women's Academy and Atletico London in the previous rounds. Now, also on Bank Holiday Monday, Spurs women are in FA Cup action against Chelsea at Kings Meadow, 1:30 p.m. kickoff. Brighton and Liverpool already through to the semi-finals of the Women's FA Cup. Birmingham will face Manchester City in the other game at 5 p.m. on Monday. Now, I spoke to Spurs women boss Martin Ho on Thursday ahead of the FA Cup clash on Monday. This is what he had to say.
Hi Martin, hope you're well. Can we start with the team news, and is Helen Morris available for this one?
Yeah, and everyone was available for the last one, Chris. It's more just the squad. You can only pick 20 players in your squad, and I just picked the squad of 20 that I feels right for the game, what I'm going to use, what we're not going to use in that moment, and then also taking into consideration all the other aspects around training and so on. And unfortunately I have to pick a squad of 20, which is not easy, because I have a wonderful group of players. But yeah, everyone's available for selection going into this game, apart from Micah Hamano, who obviously can't contribute to this game.
Now it's already been spoken about the team and this poor run that you're on at the moment, but how has it been for you personally over the last 3 games? Because you speak very passionately to us week by week, saying that you want to win every game. Yeah,
and it's difficult. Don't get me wrong. You maybe, I don't doubt what I'm doing or doubt what we're doing. You become frustrated and maybe doubt at times in terms of, am I doing something wrong? Can I be doing something different to make sure that we can get over the line? But I'm under no illusions in terms of the progress we've made and what we've delivered this season. That when we come into these games, we know they're going to be tough. We know the sides we're up against, and we know we've got a lot of work to do to get to that level of where they're at. And that's no illusion. We know that we've got work to do if we want to be competing at that top level. But what shouldn't shy away from, which we won't, is making sure we're competitive in games and we're building on those performances. And we're creating a lot of chances against these teams, and we just need to convert. And I think once you can get maybe a foothold and a head in one of these games, it can maybe change the dynamic for you.
Martin, processes? Because of course you've faced them twice already, both at home and away in the WSL. What have you made of those challenges so far?
Yeah, the away game I thought we were very good for large parts. Yeah, we were defensive a lot in that game and Chelsea pushed us back, but I thought we withstood the pressure quite well. We defended the box well, and then it took a Kira Walsh wonder strike to open us up, and they then take that game 1-0, and then we come into the home game, and I thought before their first goal we had the crossbar, we had numerous chances in and around their half of the pitch, and yeah, we just didn't convert, and then they converted from a set play which kind of knocked the stuffing out of us, and they got one very quickly after half time on the break, which then causes a problem. So yeah, in moments where I feel we need to probably manage better, is those moments when we're on top. We need to make sure we capitalise and take one or two of those chances. And then definitely when we're defending, we need to be a lot more robust in terms of not conceding cheap goals and not conceding easy goals. And they're aspects that we need to focus on going into Monday.
Lastly from me, just wanted to ask you about the under-19s. Of course, they're in quarter-final cup action this evening. Free entry for the fans as well. How important is the development in the squad for you? Yeah,
huge. And we have young players training with us from the under-19s regularly. So the youth development here, it's a really big ethos of the club to develop your own players and make sure we have an academy that produces a pathway and a conveyor belt of talent for the women's team, and the same for the men's and the academy teams too. We need to make sure we continue to build on that, and yeah, we've got some wonderful talented players, and they deservedly should be in that position now after the performances they've had. And yeah, I wish them all the best with their game, and I have no doubts they should get through.
Best of luck. Thanks, Martin.
Cheers, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about Pedro Porro and Christian Romero being given a couple of extra days off due to their respective journeys during the international break. I tell you what, if it was me and I was one of the senior players and indeed club captain, I'd want to go back to Hotspur Way as soon as possible. Not only are we in this huge fight that is extremely important to this football club this season, it is extremely important to the football club for our future Premier League status. But of course, the new manager is there. I'd be rushing back to meet the new manager and want to get involved. That is just me. I'm sure a lot of people will feel like that as well. But then I'm sure that there will be equally, a lot of people saying, a couple of days off, having had a really tough season, perhaps they deserve it, perhaps they need it. But if it was me personally, I'd be rushing back there. And particularly when you look at the reports from the likes of Football.London stating that the players have gone home, told their close friends and family, what a great training session they have had on Friday under Roberto De Zerbi. And the players looked very happy. The players looked, full of energy, and we haven't seen that a lot this season. And when all of us fans have watched it, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree, if you've watched it, it looked really good, and the players looked like they were really buying into what Roberto De Zerbi was trying to do in that opening training session. So, it would be great actually on Monday. That Pedro Porro and Christian Romero will be back, because of course then Roberto De Zerbi has got a full week. We are next in action on Sunday at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland. Am I feeling more confident about these remaining 7 games? Yes. Am I feeling more confident about Spurs staying in the Premier League and picking up enough points in these remaining 7 games? Yes, I am. But of course, I'm not sitting here getting carried away, because it's one thing appointing Roberto De Zerbi. It's one thing seeing, 1 or 2 training session clips and feeling more confident about it. Of course, we have to see this playing group, dig in deep and get the points that we ultimately need to keep Premier League status for next season. Scott Minto talking about Roberto De Zerbi and saying, I think he's a really good manager. Absolutely. I think there has been such high praise for De Zerbi since he has come in to Tottenham, and there has been a lot of excitement as well, amongst the fan base. And Scott Minto also said, I don't think he's going to last 5 years at Spurs. Perhaps he won't. But I tell you what, in the summer, and I said this on a previous episode as well, in the summer, Spurs need to back this guy, and Spurs need to, the board, the owners, they need to dig deep, not only in their pockets, but decision-making as well. They need to dig deep and, make good decisions and give this squad the quality that we need to climb up that Premier League table and really fight for top honours, because this season has been a disaster. Last season in the Premier League and in domestic cups, that was a disaster. Of course, we won the Europa League. But we can't go on like this in the Premier League. If Spurs do remain in the Premier League for next season, drastic changes need to be made. But yeah, I do agree with Scott Minto. Perhaps he isn't going to be here in 5 years, but at some point, I've also said this a number of times recently as well. At some point, Spurs need to do things differently. And I hope that is going to be the case this time, because since moving in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 2019, 7 permanent managers now, 4 interim appointments or caretaker appointments, whatever you want to call it. We can't keep going around in circles like this. At some point, you need to do things differently and show some real ambition, and I hope that is going to be the case. Victor Wanyama talking very favourably again about Roberto De Zerbi and saying about, he thinks that De Zerbi is going to turn this around. He thinks that these players are good enough to get out of this mess. I completely agree. It is having that right mix, the right manager, the right attitude, trying to get the very best out of this group of players, because we know they are capable of a lot more. I've said this for, I was going to say weeks. I've said it for months now. These players are a lot better than where we are currently in the Premier League table. Now, Spurs midfielder Yves Bissouma is believed to be furious on how he's been treated under Thomas Frank and Ange Postecoglou. Let's just say he's had a very difficult time these last couple of years, and I had hoped that we were going to see the Brighton version of Yves Bissouma. I think we saw it in a handful of games, no more than a handful of games, and perhaps I'm being quite generous saying a handful of games. I expected so much more from Bissouma. He does have the option to extend for one more year. Let's wait and see, because, of course, when a new manager does come in, and Roberto De Zerbi will know the qualities that Yves Bissouma has, and he will know what he will want out of him if he is in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. So let's wait and see. Nothing surprises me with Spurs, so it wouldn't surprise me at all that Yves Bissouma would stay for another year, and it also wouldn't surprise me if he did head out the door, because I think that there will be a number of clubs calling for the Mali international. Now, more reports about Vicario going out the door. I do expect that one to happen in the summer, but then I do expect a number of changes to happen within the Tottenham Hotspur squad. Players in, players out the door in the summer. We need a big, transformation in the summer. We need to spend a lot of money, and we need to also offload players that either don't want to be there or aren't good enough to take Tottenham to that next level. Wishing Mikey Moore all of the very best. I know he's doing a grand job up in Ibrox at Rangers. He's having a wonderful time there. They're sitting, right at the top of the Scottish Premiership now, and he is having the time of his life. And I've said this on many episodes in the last couple of years. When you see loan players go out and have a really, really top time, they're playing virtually every minute, they're scoring goals, they're assisting, the crowd are absolutely loving them. How do they come back to Tottenham Hotspur and then take almost a back seat and not play many games? Or does Roberto De Zerbi have plans for Mikey Moore to start him in most matches? Because let's face it, the likes of Tim Sherwood, the many pundits, and I've said this many times as well, that we have had so many decent players from our academy, but we just don't use them like we have done in our history. And, recently, in recent years, recent managers, we just haven't used the youth system probably as we should have done. And, there are some good players there. Best of luck to the Spurs women. They are in FA Cup quarter-final action away at Chelsea. Of course, I spoke to Martin Ho, if you watch that clip as well, and you will know that the Spurs women have lost their last 3 games, but this is a one-off cup game, although they have lost both at home and away in the WSL to Chelsea this season. But it is a cup game. You never know what happens in cup games. Look on Saturday, Southampton beating Arsenal. I don't think many people expected that. I thought that they were winning the quad, and now they've bottled 2 cup competitions already. So, cup competitions, anything can happen. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Stay safe and well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great week. And I will see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.